In the neon lights lurks a hooded hero, silent like the whispers in the techno glow. From the cold steel streets where secrets grow, with vengeance burning deep and fire low. Shadows dance and flicker in the cyber gloom, moves like a specter in a violet blue. Eyes gleam with fury, slicing through the doom. Darkness can't escape the edge of his doom. Hooded ninja, he will strike. Sword of vengeance cuts the light. Darkness wielding sharpened blade. From the shadows you'll be saved.
This is Info Blitzkrieg. It a war for your mind. Let's get started. Hurricane Helene was a fucking nightmare, and FEMA somehow managed to make it 10 times worse. Like, how the hell do you screw up something so badly when you literally exist to handle emergencies? The storm was bearing down, and we all saw it coming, and according just one person have said about it, we had the warnings. But did FEMA act like it? Hell no. They were sitting on their asses while people were scrambling, and when the shit hit the fan, FEMA was still caught with their pants down. The response time was a joke. By the time they got their shit together, entire towns were underwater. People were trapped on rooftops, and families had been torn apart. Where the hell were the supplies? Where were the evacuation plans? They were late, understocked, and completely unprepared. How is it possible that every goddamn time a major storm hits, FEMA's out here acting surprised like, oh shit, a hurricane. No shit, there's a hurricane. You knew it was coming for days, but somehow you couldn't coordinate a response that made any goddamn sense. And don't even get me started on the logistics. Trucks with essential supplies getting lost, emergency centers that couldn't handle the volume of people. What the hell is FEMA even doing? How do you run out of water in a disaster zone? How do you mess up the distribution of something as simple as blankets and food? People were left with nothing, and FEMA's out there scratching their asses trying to figure it out. It's like they've never done this before. Their communication? A complete shit show. The updates were either late, wrong, or so damn vague they might as well not have said anything. You're stuck in the middle of a storm with no power, no phone service, and the one source of official information you're relying on is giving you bullshit directions or straight-up false information. People were panicking, and FEMA made it worse with their incompetence. We've seen hurricanes before. This isn't new. How is it possible that FEMA still hasn't figured out how to function and handle a disaster? It's their entire job. But when lives are on the line, they're out there stumbling around, making things worse. I swear it's like they learned nothing from previous mistakes. How many more people need to suffer or die before FEMA pulls its head out of its ass and actually does what they're supposed to do? It's infuriating watching them F it all up over and over again. And honestly, the people deserve better. Alright, one more thing about fucking FEMA. Let's talk about FEMA completely dropping the ball when it came to helping the victims of Hurricane Helene and instead focusing their resources elsewhere, on illegal immigrants. Are you kidding me? People were left stranded, homes destroyed, lives upended by one of the worst hurricanes we've seen in years, and FEMA is off helping illegal immigrants. How does that make any sense? First off, FEMA's entire job is to provide emergency relief for American citizens in times of crisis, but when the storm hit and people were begging for help, FEMA's priorities seemed completely out of whack. Instead of focusing on the communities that were devastated by the hurricane, they shifted their resources and attention to assist illegal immigrants in shelters, processing facilities, and border camps. I get that there's a humanitarian aspect to consider, But you can't just abandon your primary mission when Americans are suffering right in your own backyard. People were out there with their homes underwater, without food, power, or clean water, and FEMA is bending over backward to provide services to people who aren't even supposed to be here in the first place. It's infuriating. What about the folks who pay taxes, who've spent their entire lives working, contributing to this country, and now in their time of need, FEMA decides to funnel resources elsewhere? It's a slap in the face to every hurricane victim waiting for help that never came. Not only did they fail to provide basic necessities, but they also dragged their feet on everything. While Helene victims were sleeping in makeshift shelters with minimal aid, FEMA was spending time and money setting up long-term facilities for illegal immigrants. Are you kidding me? Where are the tents for the hurricane victims? Where's the food, the water, the health care for them? FEMA is supposed to be the safety net, the organization that steps in when disaster strikes, but they've let Americans down by shifting their priorities away from the people who needed them most. It's not just about the resources either, it's about the message it sends. FEMA has essentially told the victims of Hurricane Helene that their suffering comes second, that their needs aren't the priority. How do you think people feel knowing that they've been left to fend for themselves while FEMA's busy bending over backward to help illegal immigrants? People were desperate, and instead of being there for them, FEMA bailed to focus on an issue that wasn't even their responsibility in the first place. It's enraging. FEMA needs to get its priorities straight and focus on what it was created to do: help Americans in crisis, especially those suffering from natural disasters. Anything less is a betrayal of the people they're supposed to serve. Speaking of the government doing some shady stuff, Alex Jones's InfoWars getting shut down by the federal courts is absolutely wild. Love him or hate him, this is a major free speech issue. Sure, Jones says some crazy inflammatory stuff, but taking him off the air sets a dangerous precedent. If the government can censor him, who's next? People should be able to decide for themselves what to listen to, even if it's controversial or extreme. Silencing voices through the courts, instead of challenging them with facts, is a slippery slope toward limiting what we can say or think. Well, folks, that's it. Stay safe out there.